The information shared on Girl Pray On It is for educational and informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Although I am a licensed mental health counselor, I'm not your therapist. Unless, of course, you're one of my clients. In that case, I am your therapist, and I'll see you in our next session. Listening to this podcast does not create a therapeutic relationship between us. If you are experiencing emotional distress or a mental health crisis, please seek support from a licensed mental health provider in your area or contact a crisis line. Always pray on it, and also reach out when you need help.
But not to us. All right. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, and welcome to
Girl,
Pray
pray
On
on it. I'm Aisha.
And I'm Rebecca.
And we're back for, another episode. So how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling exhausted.
And can you tell us why?
I have a 6-month-old who doesn't want to sleep.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks. I mean,
it is what it is.
I don't have a 6-month-old. I'm tired just because life choices. Life choices.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, life choices for me as well.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you made some choices.
I made some choices in my life, and here I am.
Here you are with a beautiful 6-month-old.
Yes.
Mashallah.
Mashallah.
Very, very cute baby. He's a very, very cute baby.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, what do you feel like has changed the most since you've entered
Oh my God.
motherhood?
What a question.
I know.
Yeah, I tell everyone this,
Mhm.
and I think moms will agree with me. I'm a preparer.
Okay.
So I did so much research while I was pregnant and having the baby and blah, blah, blah. I read what to expect when you're expecting so that I knew what was happening in my body and week by week and following the progress. I did hours upon hours of research about the best baby products, how to make a baby registry, blah, 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 blah. I was not, no matter how much I prepared, there's nothing that truly could ever fully prepare you for what is about to happen. And I think I knew that there'd be sleepless nights and I knew that I'd be tired. But I think the biggest thing that has changed for me and the hardest thing for me is losing a sense of autonomy and independence. And I think while I was prepared for what they tell you about in the classes, and I took all the classes and I knew how to swaddle, I was not prepared for somebody to be fully 100% dependent on me. And that was a huge change.
Yeah.
I think the loss of autonomy has been challenging in terms of you just need to think a million times before you even leave the house, which is something that I would never have to do before,
Yeah.
Put on your clothes, put on your hijab, walk outside, go for a walk. Now it's I have to think 100 times before we leave the apartment, Is he fed? Has he slept? Is he tired? Is he going to scream? Do I need to change his diaper? Do we have everything we need? What happens if this happens? I need to be prepared if this happens. It's so much more difficult to get out of the house. And, there's a loss of autonomy that I had prior to having a baby where I could kind of, for the most part, do the things that I wanted to do without having to think about it.
Right.
And now, I have to think a million times. And I think that can be really lonely and isolating for new moms.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can't say that I understand what you're going through because I am child-free, but I definitely empathize with that feeling, that loss of autonomy, and just change, right? Your life is
just massive change.
Massive change. So how did you, or when did you know that you wanted to be a mom?
Oh, I always wanted to be a mom.
Okay. What was your earliest memory of I want to have a baby? I want to be a mom.
I don't think that I thought about it very much, but I think I always had it in the back of my mind since I was very young and was emulating my mom when I was a child playing with dolls. I think I always just felt nurturing, and I always felt, I always felt like some sort of maternal inkling within me. But I was also very intentional and deliberate about when I wanted to have a baby.
Mhm.
And, after you get married,
Mhm.
that's, the next thing that people ask you about.
It was,
Oh,
when are
you're
you gonna
married.
have a baby?
When are you gonna have a baby?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not giving into pressure.
Mhm.
I need to be 100% totally ready before I make this commitment to make sure that I am at my best for my future
Mhm.
children. I felt I needed to be emotionally, mentally,
Mhm.
and physically prepared for this to happen. So
Mhm.
I was very intentional about the timing of it.
Mhm.
And, alhamdulillah, it
Alhamdulillah.
happened according to plan. And I feel really blessed and lucky for that.
Mhm.
But I think, yeah, I always knew that I wanted to be a mom, but I was never serious about it until I was serious about it.
Oh, okay.
Until I was like, okay, I finally feel ready.
Okay. And what would be your advice to moms who are going through postpartum?
Yeah, be gentle on yourself
Mhm.
and take care of yourself and ask for help when you need help.
Mhm.
It's not that I have so much experience. It's only been 6 months,
Right.
but I am, alhamdulillah, so lucky to have so much support. And I've learned that in order to be my best self for my child, I need to really take care of myself. And in the beginning, obviously, in the newborn stages, like that's really, really difficult.
Mhm.
As the baby gets a little bit older, I think it starts to slowly get easier and easier and easier. But, asking for help, even if it's just, having someone come over for an hour so you can take a shower
Mhm.
or go for a walk
Yeah.
is like so important. Taking a shower.
Right.
Speaking of showering,
Yeah.
taking a shower every day, which, sometimes it gets hard to do
Yeah.
when the baby's so dependent on you.
Yeah.
But, asking for help, asking from help from your husband. Hopefully you have a partner who is, really coming into this with you in a full 50-50 split.
Right.
But sometimes we just need to ask each other for help. So
Mhm.
funny. Once you have a baby, you find yourself asking the most like silly
Crazy.
question
Yeah.
to your partner. Like, do you mind if I go take a shower?
Yeah. Right. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you mind if I, quickly go check my computer for something? Like it's, these are like the most basic, like simple things that you would
Mhm.
normally do without having to ask another person. But, once you're in it, then it's like, okay, all of a sudden I need to ask if I can take a shower.
Mhm.
So ask for support, be kind to yourself and gentle on yourself. This is the hardest job in the world. And it's incredibly rewarding, but it is a huge challenge. We're sleep deprived. We're like struggling to take care of the basic essentials for ourselves. Just be kind to yourself. You're doing great. We're all just figuring it out as we go.
Yeah.
Those I've had to remind myself a lot and slow down, enjoy every moment.
Mhm.
Obviously not every moment is enjoyable,
Right.
but, remind yourself that it goes so quickly.
Yeah. And one piece of advice that you would give to just our listeners out there who who want to support someone who is postpartum, and particularly someone who might be suffering from postpartum depression.
Those are two different things in my mind, but
Okay.
I think, first of all, bring food.
Yeah.
If you're coming to visit and you wanna bring something, you're not sure what to bring, just bring food, bring dinner.
Mhm.
I think as nice as it is that people bring, like, clothes and toys for the baby,
Mhm.
the new parent, they're already getting plenty of that.
Right.
The grandparents are spoiling the baby.
Right. Yeah.
We have plenty of, like, cute outfits and toys for this little one,
Mhm.
but the most helpful thing to have was a home-cooked meal.
Okay.
So, I think that or bring groceries
Mhm.
because these are things that are really, really challenging to do when you're just figuring out how to balance your new life with the little one.
Right.
So, I would say, like, bring food, bring groceries. Don't don't assume automatically that you are going to be able to hold the baby, because I think
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people are not super comfortable with that when the baby is still a newborn.
Yeah, and no vaccines. Yeah.
It's like it's really scary
Yeah.
in the beginning for how susceptible babies are to severe illness when
Yeah.
they're so vulnerable in those first 2 months. I think for people who are coming to visit a new mom, don't have any expectation. Let her kind of dictate what she feels comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
I know, like, I was a first time mom. I was like really, really scared and
Mm-hmm.
anxious in that first week because I didn't know what I was doing, and having visitors was so lovely but also really scary because my baby was born in the winter time,
Yeah.
and that's like cold and flu season, and
Mm-hmm.
he was so vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
I was so anxious. I wanted to share him with all of our loved ones, but I was also really fearful of what if he gets sick.
Yeah.
So I think etiquette is really just let mom and dad kind of set the boundaries and set the tone. Bring some food,
Yeah.
bring some groceries if you
Yeah.
can.
If you're
Um,
coming, come to be helpful.
yeah,
Yeah, not to over the baby, right? Yeah.
yeah. I think, and especially like a brand new mom, she just wants to bond with her baby and be with her baby. Let her have her time with the baby. And, what is the most helpful is like just helping out around the house with bringing food. Or if you're really someone who's really close to the family, I think like offering to maybe do some laundry, or
Mm-hmm.
I think those
Clean up.
like
Yeah.
really basic small things in those first few weeks are like so helpful.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say in terms of like community support in the very beginning. A mom with postpartum depression,
Mhm.
that's a big one. I think it's only recently that we've been starting to talk about postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety.
Mhm.
And it really is very prevalent among new moms.
Yeah.
So I would say that community and family support is so essential and really can make the world of a difference in a new mom's
Mhm.
experience. Having the support, having help, it's the different it makes the world of a difference. So I think like we have in this very individualistic society really lost the essence of community,
Mhm.
and they say it takes a village. Well,
Mhm.
it's true. It
Mhm.
really does take a village. So I think, the best way to support a new mom is to just let her know that you're there for her if she needs to talk, if she needs to vent, if she needs help, if she needs support. And I think let her know that you are there for her, but she but it's up to her
Mhm.
to decide how she wants to utilize that support.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing, and of course, I would encourage all new moms to seek out therapy and to seek out support. I know, like, being in a new moms group has made the world of a difference to me.
Mhm.
Just to have people to like ask ask questions to and bounce ideas off of, and like
Mhm.
learn about what other moms are doing in, when there's a particular issue that's come up.
Mhm.
So I think being like in a new moms group or a mommy and me
Mhm.
class or whatever it might be, having community is so important.
Mhm.
And knowing that you're not alone, that there's other people who are going through the same exact thing as
Yeah.
you. I remember when I was in the hospital, I had a wonderful experience actually, which is
Really.
quite rare. I had kind of my dream childbirth, and I was
Mhm.
so happy. And the first 24 hours were so blissful and exciting.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, it was like there was this tiny little baby lying
Mhm.
next to me that
Yeah.
like was so small and vulnerable, and I was
Mhm.
terrified. And all of a sudden, it hit me,
Mhm.
the dread and the fear and the
Mhm.
anxiety. I developed like very, very intense postpartum anxiety
Yeah.
within like 24 hours of him being born. And I was just lying in my hospital bed at 3 in the morning having a panic attack.
No. Oh my
Yeah,
God. Yeah.
it was so scary that like I was having all these thoughts. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, am I really prepared for this? how do I keep this baby alive? This is all
Mhm.
on me now. I'm his
Mhm.
mother. It was so scary. And in the morning, when all of the nurses came in,
Mhm.
started coming in, we started talking. We're talking about being discharged. I just like started sobbing.
Yeah.
They were like, are you okay? What's going on?" And I'm just like
Oh.
lying there sobbing,
Oh,
and I'm
no.
like, I'm terrified out of my mind. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. Like, I have to take this baby home with me now, and like all the
Yeah.
24-hour, revolving door of nurses is about to end, and now I
Yeah.
just have to like go and do this thing,
Yeah.
me and my husband,
Yeah.
and I was confiding in this nurse,
Uh-huh.
and she just like was so sweet. She took my hand and she's
Yeah.
like, "I wish that you could come with me and walk around the floor
Yeah.
of the
Labor and
like
delivery.
the
Yeah.
recovery floor
Yeah.
where there's all of these every single mother
Yeah.
has said exactly verbatim what you have said.
Really?
We're all in the same boat. Like everyone
Okay.
is feeling this way. Everyone is scared. Everyone is having these exact same things. I wish that you could talk to any one of the other mothers who's
Yeah.
on this floor right now." And that, like, even her just telling me that for some reason was really comforting.
Yeah.
So knowing that you're not alone, that there's so many people who are going through the same exact experience, like
Yeah.
that was so helpful. And eventually I did talk to new moms who were going through the same thing, and just having each other and talking about these topics was really wonderful.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Thank you for
Yes.
sharing your story. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I made a very conscious, deliberate choice about approaching children and childbirth and having babies. And as I
Yeah.
mentioned, I was very intentional about when I wanted to do it. And you and I have had conversations where in the
Uh-huh.
past you've shared with me some uncertainty
Yeah.
about whether or not you want to have children.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear from you about what your perspective is,
Yeah.
and if you are still feeling this, you're still having thoughts about not
Yeah.
wanting to have kids, why
Yeah.
that might be.
Yeah. So I'm child free,
Mhm.
happily child free right now. And I think it was maybe when I was in high school I started actually I think it was when I was in middle school where I was like, I don't think I want to have I don't
Mhm.
I don't think I want to be I don't want to be responsible for another life. Like that seems very daunting, right? That seems like a lot, right? And this probably part of it is probably, childhood trauma, family trauma, things of
Mhm.
that nature is contributing to why I'm unsure if I want children. But I've always said to anybody, it's like, if it's not 100% yes, then it's 100% no, right? Because you should be 100% prepared for anything and everything to happen to your baby and to that child from the time that they are born to the time where, either you die or they sadly die, right? And so like it's because of that immense responsibility that fear that you had of like, oh my God, I have to take care of this child now. I have felt since I was like very young of like, I can't imagine having a child that I like, it's just mine and it's all of that responsibility is on me. And, from an Islamic perspective, right, we know that our children are a manna to us, right? There's something that we're supposed to take care of. Like, it's a big deal to, like, ensure that the rights of your children are being upheld,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, part of the reason why heaven lies under the feet of the mother, because it's such a heavy weight and burden to carry,
Yeah.
not like a negative burden, but it's a lot
It's a
to,
huge
yeah,
responsibility.
huge
Yeah.
responsibility to become a mom.
Mhm.
So from I think it was like I had that first inkling since I was like in middle school, and then I was just like, I don't really know if I want to have kids in high school. And then in college, it was like, yeah, I definitely don't want to have kids. And now that I've lived a little bit of life, it's not that that door is completely closed. It's that it's open with the right scenario and right opportunity, right? Like there's so much more that I want to do for myself and to feel accomplished for myself and in my career, but as just like an individual. And I don't want my entire identity to be wrapped up in motherhood. And I know that so many mothers talk about the fact that after they have a child, it feels like that's all they are, is just a
Mm.
mom, rather than they lose that sense of identity, right? And that's something that I fear a lot, because I think, could I be a mom? Yes. Like, there's
And you'd be a
yeah,
great one, by the way.
thank you. I appreciate that. Right. I think I could be a mom, but the knowledge of and the knowledge of having all of this responsibility would mean that I would inherently and willingly, like, sacrifice any parts of me that need to be sacrificed in order to be able to give the child the best life possible, right? And I also believe in, like, working on yourself and not continuing cycles of trauma,
Mhm.
and, ensuring that you are not continuing to hand down generational trauma, and you're working on that before you have kids. I think a lot a lot of the world would be great if people went to therapy before they decide to have kids, and they
Mhm.
worked on their own problems and they figured that out
Yeah.
before they put that onto their kids, right? And so all of those things combined make me, like, super fearful to have a child, especially in our current society. Our last episode was on fear and
Mhm.
anxiety, and I have
Mhm.
a lot of fear and anxiety around the world that we're living in, that I feel like is becoming even more amoral as we move along, right? And then I worry about the climate crisis, and, like, am I bringing a child into, like, a world that cannot physically handle having any more humans on the planet? Will my child be fighting water wars? And, like, all of these things are in the back of my mind of, like, am I going to be able to raise an emotionally mature, well-rounded, conscious Muslim child, right? And that in and of itself feels like a huge weight. And then the piece of, like, my mom was a single mom for the majority of my life. And I think if you are prepared, like, I think any woman who wants to have a child should at some level be prepared to be a single mom at any point. And I don't know if I'm like, not to say that, like, oh, my husband's gonna leave me and, like, never see the kid, right? But I think that's kind of like, it's a risk, right? That there's always a chance, you never know, like, your partner might die, they might get really sick, and here you are, like, on your own trying to raise someone. And I saw that firsthand, right? That idea of, like, trying to do everything by yourself, it's a lot, right? And my mom did the best that she could with what she had. And, thankfully I had a very blessed childhood. But seeing that makes me, like, think, do I want to do that? Do I want to encounter? And I think all of the things that I've listed are things that most child-free people have thought about,
Yeah.
and they are constantly questioning, do am I really ready emotionally? Am I emotionally ready? Am I physically ready? Am I financially ready? Right? Is the world ready for me to bring another life and soul into this world? Um and, there's the piece of, like, in Islam, right, where you're encouraged to have more children, right? You're encouraged to have children at least, right? And you don't see a lot of Muslim talking about being child free. Like, it's
Yeah.
almost expected that every couple you
Right.
meet is going to have a
Mhm.
child.
Mhm.
And if they're not having children, it's because something's wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
something's wrong with them physically,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And I've always said that if I ever get to a point where I no longer can have physically be able to have children, I would want to adopt,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
To be able to, just be able to raise someone, right, and raise someone in a house of love, right? But kind of what's on my mind right now. Do I have a lot of time to, like, change my decision? No, but my mom had me when she was late in life. My grandmother had her last child, I think, in her 40s or whatever. So, and we're seeing more women today have kids later in life. So until it's 100% yes, it's going to be 100% no.
Yeah. I I so hear what you're sharing,
Yeah.
and I think even people who have children have
Mhm.
probably considered that at one point or
Right.
another. I think, a lot of us are scared of what we're going to leave for our children and our grandchildren. So I've absolutely, those thoughts have crossed my mind as well. And at the same time, I think having children is an exercise in optimism,
Yeah.
in that, you know, it's being optimistic that we can raise healthier and better and greater generations,
Yeah.
that our hope is that our children are a little bit better than us,
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's something inherently optimistic about having children,
Yeah.
that, we're optimistic that the world's still going to be here
Right.
for
And
them.
like the thing is, like between you and me, like you are a very optimistic person and I'm very not optimistic. I'm very much a realist. I'm like the nuclear war can happen at any moment, right? And I'm just like that's kind of that's my baseline of like I don't see a lot of optimism, but I also think that like that's I where I'm coming from, right?
Mhm.
My background and my identity kind of lends itself to like not being super optimistic, right? Like
Mm,
when you think about like the mortality rates for Black women in
mhm.
childbirth, it's
Yeah.
super high, right?
Right.
And I'm a Black woman, right? And then to live in a very Islamophobic world,
Mhm.
like, and then to live in a world where it's like, stacked against you from a financial perspective, right? All of those things lend themselves to me being like, do I really want to bring another life into this world? But you're very optimistic, and I love that about you. But I'm just like, yeah, the world really sucks. Why add another soul? That's where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I get that. I
yeah,
really do. And I think those thoughts haunt me sometimes
hmm
too. What is this world going to look like when I'm no longer here, but my children or my grandchildren are here? But I just remind myself that I need to be the best version of myself for them,
hmm
to make good humans that walk this earth and put a little bit of good into it.
yeah. I mean,
My
100%. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, my feeling is, can I put more good out into the world than
hmm
bad? And if I do, then there's some success that
yeah,
I'm producing
yeah,
just by putting more light in the world, more
yeah,
goodness.
yeah,
And I pray that that legacy is my child, that
yeah,
he will be better than me, that he will put goodness and light
yeah,
into this world.
yeah. I mean, 100%.
So you had mentioned that in the Muslim community,
hmm
it's really rare to find people who are child-free by choice.
Yeah,
When we see childless older couples, we sort of assume that
something
there
went
was an
wrong.
infertility
Yeah.
issue that came up and that they weren't able to have children.
hmm
And, it's really rare to find couples who are intentionally not having children. And I think that from what I've seen is maybe some judgment within the Muslim community about
hmm
people who might make a decision to consciously be child free.
Right.
What would you say to people who have a judgment about it, who are, saying that, well, Islamically, we are supposed to have children,
hmm
and the whole point of getting married is to reproduce?
Yeah. I mean, that's not the whole purpose of marriage, right? The purpose of marriage is to be a garment and a cloth for your partner,
Hmm.
right? To protect them from the perils of the outside world, right? Yes, like there's a benefit in having kids, but I what I would say to those people is that like do you really want a child to come into a world where they were not the first choice, right? They're like, I feel like having a child has to be a choice that you revel in and that you are excited about and that you love, right? If you're unsure about it, you should probably think twice about having kids, right? And I'm sure there are more people who are iffy about that than there are people who are 100% sure in the world that we're living in today. But really, is it really any of your business? Like, is it really any of your business in the first place, right? And are you going to be paying for the kids' food, clothing, housing, and stuff like that? And you can still live a full and warm life without having any kids, right? Your worth is not in your ability to procreate. Your worth is in what you do in our time here on earth, right?
Yeah.
And the legacy that you leave is in your actions and your
Right.
character, right?
Mhm.
And it's not just the DNA that you leave behind, right? Because we know that like familial ties and just having children alone doesn't mean that your legacy is going to be worth anything, right?
Mm.
When you think about all the deadbeat dads and deadbeat mothers in the world, and people who don't want to or didn't want to have children and don't care to take care of those children, right? The act of having a child doesn't mean that you've done something great, right? It's in the taking care of that child and the rearing of that child into a functioning adult that leaves you with a legacy, right? But yeah, so that would be kind of what I would say to people who have that question or that judgment, in reference to Muslim couples who don't want to have kids. And I think like perhaps the couple did try for like the longest time, right? Perhaps they were married and they tried every single year and it just didn't happen. You have no idea what pain or
Yeah.
like trauma is behind that choice to say we're not going to have a child,
So
right?
true.
And you have no idea what, someone might have experienced in their own childhood
Yeah.
to make them to not even want to consider, right?
Yeah.
And some people are not mentally healthy enough
Yeah.
to rear a child. They're
Yeah.
barely healthy enough to like survive and keep
Yeah.
themselves alive, right?
Yeah.
And we should be honoring that and
Yeah.
honoring their struggle and respecting the fact
Yeah.
that like not everybody is meant to have kids, and their life is not worth
Mhm,
anything
mhm, mhm.
less than someone who decides to have kids, right?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
This question is so common
Mhm.
when, people will just ask, "Oh, when are you having kids? Oh, when are you having a baby? When is
Yeah.
it coming?"
Yeah.
And you know, if someone has ever asked me that in my life, I
Yeah.
will like politely laugh and, say whatever I say. Oh,
Yeah.
make dua.
Yeah.
Even though like I did have thoughts about it at the time, but my feeling is please just don't ask that question
Yeah.
because you don't know how many people I have spoken to who have struggled with
Mhm.
infertility and who have experienced miscarriages. And there's so much grief and pain wrapped up in that.
Right.
Like, it can be so incredibly triggering for somebody to, ask, like, well, when are you having a baby? And the
Right.
true answer is, I'm trying.
Right.
I'm trying to have a baby and I can't and I
Right.
don't know why. And
Yeah.
it's so painful and it's
Yeah.
so hurtful. And so I know that this question comes with the best of intention
Yeah.
and maybe it's just a conversation starter, but I would really think twice about asking couples this
Yeah.
question unless like you're really, really close and you're able to frame it in a way of like, oh, have you thought about having
Mhm.
children? But I think the question when it's posed in a way of like, when are you two gonna start making those babies?
Yeah.
Is it's just best to avoid that
Yeah.
question altogether.
And I'm so petty where I'm like, yeah, go ahead and ask me, because then I'm gonna be like, well, we tried last night. We tried 3 days ago. We tried this morning actually. And we'll try in half an hour right after we leave. Like, just make them feel awkward about it. Like, what, every night,
Yeah.
sometimes twice a night.
That's not
Yeah.
my style. I'm embarrassed, just like such an embarrassment from you saying that.
See, and I love to embarrass people who ask stupid questions, because what right do you have to ask people that question? It just like you just don't know, right?
Yeah.
And you should really be close to the person that you're asking and framing it very delicately, right?
Yeah.
The amount of times people, yeah, I've
Yeah.
I've heard just asking just getting asked that question
Yeah,
is
I
crazy.
know. And like this in particular can be a really sensitive one. I know
Yeah.
we talk a lot about inappropriate questions, but like
Yeah.
I think just hearing so many experiences, I'm like, this is a particularly sensitive issue
Yeah.
that can be so painful for people, especially as infertility rates are increasing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just don't ask.
Yeah.
Don't ask. Let them come to you.
Yeah.
Let them, if they want to confide in you or they want to
Yeah.
talk about it, let them come to you. So
Yeah.
that's my perspective.
I mean, so can I tell you a story?
Yeah, tell me.
So I actually told you this
Okay.
before. I told you the story before, but I was seeing a therapist, right? And I
Okay.
told her, mind you, the reason why I was there to see that therapist had nothing to do with,
Yes.
wanting children or talking about the potential of having children.
Mm-hmm.
It was not even on the radar of questions
Yeah.
for like us to even broach
Right.
like the subject.
Right.
But, she said, well, if you ever have children, right? Or you ever think about having children, it's something to consider. And I said, well, I don't want to have children. And she said, what? Mind you, this was a Black Muslim lady and she was older, right? And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, I don't think I want to have kids, right? And she was like, but what about what your husband wants? And I was like, what about that? My body, my choice. And she looked at me like I had like 18 heads. And she's like, what? What do you mean? And I was like, I don't think I want to be a parent.
Mhm.
And she was like, well, what do you think you were put on this earth for? And I was like,
Oh. Wow.
well, not a baby factory, right? I
Right.
was like, I don't think I have to have kids. And she was like, well, that's why. What do you think the purpose of your sex organs are for? And she went on this long tirade about how like Muslims should be, having babies, and that's the whole reason we were put on this
Wow.
earth is to
Yeah.
continue the legacy or whatever. And after that day, that was the last appointment I ever had with her because
I
I
don't
felt,
blame you.
yeah, very uncomfortable about
Wow. Yeah.
you. Like, I mean, it's one thing to have that personal opinion, but we're in a therapy room. Yeah, and we're not even talking about that.
I am shooketh.
Yeah,
I am shaking.
yeah,
That's wild.
yeah.
I hope that no one listens to this story and thinks that that was an appropriate thing for a therapist to say because it was not.
No.
And I hope that we all know that the therapy space should be one that is non-judgmental, where your decisions are your decisions.
Right.
And a therapist's job is not to lecture or give advice
Or judge.
or but it's just to help our clients, come to their own decisions
Right.
and guide them and support them in whatever
Right.
decision that they try to make.
Yeah, and even though I was seeking out a Muslim therapist because I wanted that perspective, right?
Yeah.
Does not mean that I'm here to like listen to your tirade on how our purpose as Muslim women is to give birth. And that's why we're here. And I'm like, that is wild. That's crazy.
So
Yeah,
wild.
yeah.
Oh my God. I would
Yeah.
report her.
I mean, it wasn't worth it, to be honest. I was just like, I just don't need you in my life. Like, this is not
Yeah.
gonna work for me. So
That's fair.
I'm no longer her client.
No.
Yeah. All right. So, anything else to add to our discussion today?
I think we got it all. This is a big topic,
Mhm.
and maybe in the future we can talk more about it.
Mhm.
But for now, I think we'll move on to our lovely listener letter.
Yeah. And if you have a question, a problem, an issue that you want our perspectives on, you can send an email to girlcryonitpod@gmail.com and we might just read it on the podcast. I'm deciding on being child-free, but I do want to get married. Assuming I manage to marry a man who also decides to be child-free. I think I'm open to having children if a law provides, but I don't think I will be a good parent. I'm psyching myself up to be open to parenthood if it ever happens, but if I can personally choose, I don't want to. I don't want the chance to potentially ruin someone's life, that someone being a hypothetical child of mine, subhanAllah. Anyway, I am afraid of getting pregnant if I ever get married. I'm afraid that I will freak out and resent a baby or resent even marrying, even though I want a life and a love of my life. I just don't want a child I could potentially hurt or neglect. I read through some subs about birth control and Plan B, and I just got so worried about getting pregnant and getting a baby that I'm not ready to take care of. I'm just not in the right frame of mind right now. I wish I would be happy to want a child, but I'm deathly afraid of being a bad parent. I don't see the benefits in having a child if I'm only going to hurt them or not be a good enough parent for them. It's a very big responsibility which I don't think I can ever hold. What are your thoughts?
Well,
Yeah.
well, I love your self-awareness. I
Mhm.
will say that, but I also think you're being pretty hard on yourself.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're a very reflective, thoughtful person who cares about the well-being of others, especially if you're so concerned about, you know, potentially hurting a child. And I
Yeah.
think that in and of itself is showing that you are pretty self-aware
Mhm.
and kind and thoughtful, and I think those are all really wonderful qualities. So I feel like I want to lead with that.
Mhm.
And I also want to say that if you don't want to have kids, then you don't want to have kids.
Right.
But as you alluded to in the message, it is rare to find somebody who has that same preference.
Well, for Muslims.
For
Yeah.
Muslims,
Yeah.
it can be quite rare to find someone who has that same preference. And I think that if you are approaching marriage, I think it goes without saying you should be pretty open that this is where you're coming from, because we see so much that this can be a huge issue in marriages
Mhm.
when one partner wants to have kids and another partner doesn't.
Right.
Then someone has to make a
Sacrifice,
sacrifice
yeah.
and very often can live the rest of their life with a lot of resentment.
Mhm.
And so I think when you are approaching marriage, and if this is something that you're really sure about, I
Mhm.
think it is important for you to share that with whoever your potential spouse is and make sure you're on the same page
Yeah.
about both not wanting to have
Yeah,
kids.
I think Islamically you have to reveal that,
Mhm.
like, you are pretty sure you don't wanna have kids,
Yeah.
right? And, when you're entering into that marriage, otherwise
Mhm.
that could be, like, a grounds for a potential divorce.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and, to me, what it sounds like is that you are having a lot of self-doubts and a
Mhm.
lack of confidence in your own
Yeah.
abilities and your desire to not wanna hurt another human, which is very commendable.
Right.
And I want to encourage you to reach out to a therapist and to talk through what you're worried about. Because to me, what I am hearing, and this is something that I have also had to work on with my own
Mhm.
therapist, is having been in a traumatic family dynamic, right? Where you have been harmed, right? And you have been treated badly, and you seeing that and not wanting to repeat that cycle because it seems like you've said like I don't want to treat them badly, I don't want to hurt
Mhm.
them, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I want you to get to the core of why you have this fear, right? And where that's coming from.
Yeah.
Because to me, what it sounds like is that there was something that happened in your
Mhm.
life that you're wanting to prevent from happening to your own child, which is commendable. But I want you to like talk about that with someone and get to the root cause. Because it might be that this is just something that you've built up in your mind, and actually, maybe you do want kids if this is something that you can resolve, you know?
Mhm.
Not saying that your choice is wrong, right? But you really want to sit with this decision and sit with like your reasoning for not wanting to have a kid, because if you can, I don't know, find more confidence within yourself and your own abilities, I would love that for you, just generally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you made a really good point about trauma and
Mhm.
how trauma can be passed down. And there are studies that show trauma can literally live in your DNA
Mhm.
and be passed down through DNA, which is how, trauma spreads generationally. And if you are impacted by generational trauma or fear of passing down trauma or fear of passing down, anything, like it is something to address in therapy. And our hope is that with each new generation, we shed some of these traumas and we work through these traumas and experiences. But trauma lives in our bones. Trauma's passed down in ways that we could never possibly even see because it's not visible. It's inside, and that's a way in which it feels less tangible, but it's there nonetheless.
Yeah.
And healing that trauma before having kids, I think, is so essential.
Yeah.
You had alluded to, and I had mentioned before that I was really intentional about when I wanted to have children, and I knew that it couldn't be at any point before I was ready to do so. And for me, being ready meant feeling like I am ready to sacrifice everything I have for another being. And I felt that I was at a point in life where I had experienced all that I needed to experience as a individual and in a marriage, and felt like now I'm finally ready to give myself fully to another human being, whatever that might mean. But I think for people who are not at that place yet, it can breed so much resentment. And that's not fair to your child to, you know, inadvertently have so much resentment toward their existence. So I think like I wish more couples would approach having children with an intention and having done the work that they need to do and process through the trauma that they've had to get to a place where they are feeling healthy enough to raise a child and have the self-awareness to be able to be there physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually for their child.
Yeah. And then I have a sneaky suspicion that there are more Muslim men who don't want to have children, but they just think that they have to because that's what's expected of them. And I would really love for those men, if you're listening out there, to just come out,
Come forward.
right? Because there are women who are waiting on you. Not me, but there are women. Yeah, but there are women who are waiting on you. I spoke to someone. Okay, I didn't speak to someone, but I was in the room during a conversation with a family member, and a question was asked of this young man: do you want to have kids, and do you want to get married? And he's like, yeah, it's something that I guess I should do. And I was like, pause. If you're not 100% about it, don't do it. Okay, the worst thing that someone can do is be partially, have one foot in and one foot out of a marriage, of parenthood, and you should be fully invested into that decision. And I feel like if you're like, yeah, it's something I should do, you should really reevaluate why you're doing it. Yeah. Any last thoughts for this listener?
No, I think that was a really good point you brought up.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. All right. So, special episode, 2 letters in one episode.
Wow.
Can you believe it?
No, I can't, except I can because we planned it this way.
All right. So this one says, I've had a baby a few weeks ago. My husband and I have been married for 2 years now, and I love this man to death, but I'm starting to resent him after having a baby, and it's not even his fault. For starters, we agreed that I'll do nightly duty because he's back at work now, and he does help out once he's back from work and on weekends, but I'm so resentful that he's able to get a proper night's sleep while I have to wake up every 2 hours. His friends meet up weekly, and one night recently, he brought up wanting to go out with him. This irritated me so much because I can literally not go anywhere because I'm nursing and the baby is stuck to me like glue. He didn't end up going after I told him how upset I was, and he hasn't brought it up again, but I'm wondering if I'm being unreasonable. He still goes to the gym every day and to play soccer, and when he drops me to my family's house, but I'm starting to resent him because beyond my family, I'm unable to do anything while he still has some life outside. My entire body hurts, and I get so jealous seeing that he's in no pain and can move around and do whatever he wants whenever he wants. I'm always worried and scared over the stupidest things. I hate nursing. I hate that he doesn't have to deal with any of the pain or exhaustion that comes with it. He's so kind to me, especially after having a baby, and he never even raises his voice at me or gets angry with me when I'm mad or upset with him, which I feel like I have been doing a lot lately. I have so much family support too. I don't know why I'm struggling so much. I love my baby, but I'm not enjoying motherhood that much, and I feel like a failure as a mom and a wife. I get mad at him over the smallest things and then say sorry for being in a crappy mood, and then end up crying to him for being mean. I feel like he probably hates me at this point. I would appreciate advice and constructive criticism, as I don't want to become a toxic wife.
Oh.
Yeah. I can just say your husband probably doesn't hate you. He
Oh,
probably
no.
does not hate you. And you need to give yourself some credit because what she said, she just had a baby 2 months ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those hormones from
Yeah.
being pregnant still swishing and swirling all around you. And, I've never had a baby, but I'm sure I've heard this story like 1,000 times. This is normal. It is okay. And if you need him to be at home, he needs to be at home. And that's just what it is. Other thoughts?
Yeah. Oh, a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel you, girl. I feel you. I feel you. You are not alone. We're all right there with you. You're not a failure. You're not a crappy mom. You're not a crappy wife. You are doing amazing. You are doing a great job. And these feelings that you're having are so completely normal. And every couple is out there fighting because of just the tremendous change
It doesn't even
this
sound like they're
is.
fighting, though. It just sounds like
Yeah,
she's just in a
right.
heightened, like, emotional
Right.
state. Yeah.
And that's totally normal because you have just gone through a literally life-threatening situation where now your hormones are on fire and you're having a massive surge of hormones, which is why women experience heightened emotional states. And that's where we get the baby blues and baby anxiety from. It's this huge shift in a hormonal experience. And it takes a really long time to recover from childbirth. I think like all these feelings that you're having are totally normal. Please give yourself some grace. And, I think every couple struggles in the beginning, especially just navigating these complexities.
Yeah.
And the resentment that you're experiencing, also totally normal. And I've heard this from every single new mother. His job in this was pretty easy.
Yeah.
And your job was really, really hard, right? Carrying a fetus for 9 months and then, giving birth, all of these incredibly difficult, painful experiences that mothers go through that the father will just simply never understand because he's never going to have to do it.
Right.
There's a reason why in our religion paradise is at our mother's feet. And Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, your mother, your mother, your mother deserves the most respect. It's the greatest sacrifice that a mother can make is going through the pain of the pain and the struggle of pregnancy and childbirth and then postpartum. And it really just never ends, does it?
Right.
Oh, and obviously a father's role comes more into play once the baby is born. Although I would argue the role should happen sooner because he should be supporting his pregnant wife as best he can. But the experience that you have is so drastically different from the experience that he has. And it's normal to feel resentful about that. And this is only talking about the pregnancy and the childbirth. This isn't even talking about what it feels like to now be with this new baby and maybe you're a stay-at-home mom and he returns back to work and it feels as though his life is kind of going back to normal the way that it used to be and your life is drastically different because maybe you were working before and now you're not working anymore, or maybe whatever it might be, your life has just drastically changed. Now you're responsible for caring for this baby. And I think that's another way in which women feel really resentful is like just the fact that his life goes back to normal, not totally, but at least 5 days a week between
Right.
the hours of 9 to 5 or whatever
Right.
it is. And your life is never going to be the same again. So
Yeah.
these feelings are totally normal. And it's totally normal for you to want to express that to him. And I think you should express that to him. But it sounds like he is able to hold space for that. You shared that he listens to you, he's kind, and he doesn't get angry about that. Sounds like he is holding space for you to share those feelings. So I would
Right.
encourage you to share the feelings that are coming up. And kind of talk that through. And just know that every marriage is tested when a child comes into play, especially for the first time,
Yeah.
because it's just a huge shift and transition in both of your lives.
Right.
And especially for a woman experiencing so many hormonal changes.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that every couple goes through it. It's totally normal. And also, I also want you to know that it's temporary. Obviously, having a baby is not temporary. That's a
Right.
permanent change. But that heightened emotional state that you're experiencing and the particularly difficult times right now are temporary. As the baby gets older, obviously there will be new challenges that you'll face. But you mentioned that you're nursing now, and obviously you're not going to be nursing forever.
Right.
And especially if you're in the newborn trenches, that's not going to be forever. Baby's going to grow up a little bit. He's going to get better. Sorry, he or she is going to get better at sleeping. Things get easier.
Yeah.
And so I know it's really hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel when you are so deeply in it. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think just remember that it takes at least a year for a woman to completely recover from childbirth and from pregnancy and postpartum, if not even longer. So give yourself some grace and remember that this isn't forever. This is kind of the hardest part of your journey, and nothing is permanent. Things are constantly changing, things are constantly shifting, and sometimes it will be easier and sometimes it will be harder. But you've already kind of made it through what some people may say is the hardest part, which is the childbirth and which
Yeah.
is the newborn trenches.
Yeah. And last thing that I will say is that it sounds like you're having a child is a complete dynamic shift.
Yeah.
It sounds like you need to have a conversation with your husband about some maybe more sacrifices that he could be making in his schedule. For example, instead of going to the gym every day, maybe it's every other day, and he stays home and watches the baby, and you go out for a walk, you go get a coffee, you go get your nails done, your hair done, whatever, to help you feel human, right? And that should be a willing sacrifice that he's making, right? And finding other times for you to take care of yourself, because self-care is really important. And even though you are kind of attached to the baby right now, you need to still find like time for you to become, yourself again. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think you brought up a really good point. One piece of advice that I got when I first had my baby was just at least once a day to get out of the house, even if it's for 5 minutes. Go grab a coffee outside, go for a walk. We like, you have to take care of yourself as best as you possibly can, no matter, I know how hard it is, trust me. But even just 5 minutes getting out of the house, seeing the sunlight when you're kind of in those trenches, that is so essential. To me, it sounds like you need a little bit more self-care, that you need a little bit more time to yourself.
Yeah.
So maybe there is room for you to discuss with your husband where he can provide some coverage, and maybe you go out with your friends.
Yeah,
I think you
exactly.
need to go out with your friends.
Yeah, or have your friends come over
Have your friends come
and he just
over.
watches the baby, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. I
yeah.
think that's what you need. I think that's going to really help with the resentment. Like, I know you said that you're nursing, and so there's lots of different ways that you could talk about, maybe pumping or,
Yeah.
finding some way to get a little bit of extra milk if you can. I know it's not possible for all
Yeah.
women, but leave him with a bottle. Go out or just find a window between feedings and go out and have a little time to yourself, have some time with your girlfriends. It sounds like that's really what you need.
All right. Thank you guys. And we hope to hear back from you guys and hear updates on how
Yeah,
everything is going,
definitely.
inshallah.
Inshallah.
All right. I think that's it for the segment.
Sounds good.
All right. Now is the time in the podcast where I, Aisha, look at the camera and I rant about something that's bothering me that day, that week, that year, that month, I don't know, whatever. And today, on the subject of parents, let's talk about dog parents. Okay, dog owners. I think that we have gotten to the point in society where we need to start bringing back regulations around dogs because some of you have taken it to a whole nother level, right? When I'm going to a restaurant indoors, if I see a dog, I'm not eating at that restaurant and I'm leaving. Now on the patio, maybe okay. But inside the restaurant, we have lost all decorum. And when people go inside malls and stores and they just have their dogs on a leash, like, I think that that's crazy. Your dog should have to be like in those little like carrier things, or you should put them outside. But there's no reason why, in addition to dodging all the people, because I'm not about people, right? I have to also dodge your dog, right? And then they're always like, oh, they're friendly. Don't care. Don't want to be next to your dog. Don't want your dog smelling me, and I don't want to smell your dog, right? And I really hate when you're on the street, but especially in New York, and they're walking their dogs, and it's not even on like a tight leash. It's on like a loose leash, and they let their dog come up and sniff you, and I'm like, excuse me, I don't want your dog touching me. The other day, I had to get on an elevator in my building, and this guy got on with a huge pit bull and like this other dog. And I don't have any like, bias against pit bulls, but this is a small elevator. And like, why is your dog attempting to sniff me? It shouldn't, like, your dog should be well trained enough.
Two dogs, one elevator is rough.
I
feel
know,
like
right?
That's too much.
I know.
One dog per elevator.
Yeah.
And preferably the dog should have like you guys have your own elevator.
Yeah.
I also feel strongly that I don't want to be in the elevator
Or
with
take the stairs. Take the stairs. Put it in your backpack. I don't know. Do whatever you got to do. I'm not trying to see your dog, and I assure you, your dog's not trying to see me. Okay? Have you seen the TikTok video of a guy who pepper sprays? It's an Amazon driver that pepper sprays the dog
No.
because the dog was not on a leash.
Wow.
Yeah, and
was the dog attacking him?
I think it was just like coming. I don't know. I don't think it. I just saw the aftermath. I didn't see like the actual like interaction, right?
Yeah.
But I kind of am on the Amazon delivery driver side because why is your dog not put up? Put your dog up. If it's not on a leash, it's not put up, right? And I have that same feeling. I'm not particularly scared of big dogs, but I don't want them coming anywhere near me when I don't know you, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know your dog. I don't know if they have fleas. I don't know if they don't have their rabies shots. Like, I don't know. And I feel like as a society, we have just kind of allowed people to just do whatever with their dogs, and we have to stop. We have to have some decorum.
This is America's a big dog country.
Yeah.
New York's a big dog city. Like, there's a lot of dogs here. And I am also not afraid of dogs.
Yeah.
But I'm just not a dog person.
Right, exactly.
And I can coexist with dogs.
Yeah.
And like even find dogs amusing or cute at times.
Yeah.
But I feel strongly that I don't want the dog coming up and sniffing on me or jumping on me.
Exactly.
And I do think that like the etiquette for dog owners should be to just keep your dog away from people
and close to you. Yeah.
Unless the person is like expressing interest
Right.
in your dog and is like, oh, can I pet your dog?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I also, because I have had experiences in an elevator where the dog is just like sniffing me the entire elevator ride, I will try to avoid getting into the elevator with the dog because I don't have anything against your dog. It's totally fine. You're allowed to have your dog. But like, I just personally I don't want to be sniffed. I don't want to be smelled. I don't want the dog coming up to me.
I don't want your dog's saliva on me because you know what that means?
Yeah.
I have to change my whole outfit now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Yeah. So I think I don't think you're alone. I think we want some distance from the dogs. And I think there's a lot of really wonderful dog owners out there who are respectful
Yeah.
and understand that.
Right.
And then there's a lot of dog owners who think that their dogs are like
Their own children.
their own children, and think that everyone should love dogs,
Right.
and assume that everyone is a dog lover
Loves
when it's
their
like
dog.
not
Yeah.
the case.
Yeah.
And then those are the people who are like not as respectful
Never.
and just kind of let their dogs like, get like up on you and
Yeah.
whatnot.
I
So,
mean, the worst case is when I see dogs who are very clearly not service animals, but have the service vest on them, and they are like traipsing through the grocery store, and the workers can't do anything about it because they have on that little vest. But that's not a dog. That's not a service dog. We can all tell.
wait, how do you know?
Because it's shaking. It's shaking and it doesn't want to be there.
He's old. He's an old.
Then he should be retired.
So-
He should be retired.
Maybe he's a therapeutic dog.
Therapeutic
know.
dogs stay in the car because you don't need therapy to go take a 15-minute trip to the grocery store. Sorry.
I don't know. I don't know what the situation is.
Yeah.
I just know that I don't want a dog jumping on me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's just not my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like we need to become more strict about the dog owners and them bringing their dogs everywhere. But let's just get it together, America. Let's get it together. Any other lasting thoughts?
What do you think about cat people?
Love cat people. I'm a cat mom. Love cats. Love cats.
Yeah, we're cat girls.
Yeah, because, and I feel sorry for everybody who is allergic, myself included. I'm allergic, but I take medicine every single day because I love my babies, right? I just, cats are never going to, like, be all up in your business like a dog is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Cats are Muslims.
Yes, exactly.
Cats are definitely Muslim.
Yeah, and dogs are very Christian. MAGA Christian. MAGA Christian. Because when's the last time a cat ever, worked with the police and tried to, like, get you for having something on you? When's the last time that you had a bomb cat ever
You're
sniff
so
you?
right.
Exactly.
You're so right. Dogs are like Blue Lives Matter people. Like dogs are just giving that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And this is because I'm a man's best friend. And cats are like, I don't care. You can like me or you don't. In fact, I don't like you. And where's my food? And you're gonna love this, right? And I'm addicted to it. I am. So I think that's the end of the episode.
I think so.
Okay, great. Any last words for the viewers?
If you have a dog, that's fine, but please keep them on a leash.
Don't just keep them on a leash. Keep them on a tight leash, okay? Because the when I was talking about the shaking, I saw a little greyhound dog shaking in the grocery store with one of those vests on.
Maybe it was cold.
It was not cold. He's not a service dog. Service dogs don't do that. Okay.
Okay.
They're trained.
I'm just trying to make excuses for this person.
Yeah, I'm not. Kick him out.
Okay.
Okay, come back when you're just by your lonesome, okay?
Okay.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks for...
Catch you on the flippity flip.
Flippity flop.
What?
It's the flippity flop.
Says who?
It's always been the flippity flop. It is not the flippity flip.
When did I say?
It's the flippity flip.
That's fine.
No, it's not. It's catch you on the flippity flop. Okay?
Okay. Well,
Say
I'm
it.
making no.
Say it. Say it right.
No, I like how I say it.
No. Okay. Well, they'll tell us if we're right or wrong.
Okay.
But you're definitely wrong.
Okay, but I'm like okay being wrong, and I'm gonna own it, and I'm
Okay.
gonna like it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in to the Girl Pray On It podcast. We hope today's conversation gave you something to reflect on. Be sure to follow us on both Instagram and TikTok at Girl Pray On It Pod. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, Girl Pray On It Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you listen, so you'll always be up to date with our newest episodes. Stay connected, stay encouraged, and as always, Girl Pray On It.